Hello, everyone. The next episode of the DFS Down Under show is live here on another Wednesday night here in Hobart Town. Smatho 10 is back for another big episode. Big weekend news this week. We got lots to get through to, but I have to start with saying hello to my fellow contributor at the DFR website and another winner in the DFS weekend of AFL. Big Hef, how are you this evening?
I'm very good, Smatho. I thought you were going to hit us with what a big week it's been in football there, but it has been a massive week in DFS. We've got a heap of news to get through. Looking forward to getting stuck into it. What do you got on tonight, Smatho?
Oh, hello. Yes, I was going to ask you. I've got the Taco Kitty shirt on tonight. Little vintage number here. So if you ever know what a Taco Kitty is, get on the Google and you'll see this shirt. Number one image on Google. But enough of that. Big news this week, Hef. MoneyBall, the old flame, has come back and said, no, we're the number one kings of DFS here in Australia. They've put out their cash. The money talks, as they say. $170,000 worth of cash will be available from their particular website this week and next week and the week after that. Hef, big news this week. What are your initial thoughts with MoneyBall back on their number one side in Australia?
It sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it, Smatho? Just next thing you know, 50K comes straight up for Eagles Melbourne this week. I think it's magnificent. It gives us another place to get stuck in on DFS. It's very different to Draftstars MoneyBall. The salaries are different. The team structures are different. So they definitely bring their own sort of style to the table. I've got fond memories of MoneyBall. I won a Big Bash final there once with Ian Bell carried his bat for the Scorchers. That was a long time ago, but I'm looking forward to getting back to MoneyBall this week and sort of getting back amongst it. Yeah.
Jeez, if that's your memory of MoneyBall, I think we've got some new memories to create, Hef. I think after just dominating Draftstars the last couple of weeks, I think the new frontier is now MoneyBall for you, mate. So look, my nickname throughout high school was the rookie and through work, and I'm an absolute rookie in MoneyBall. So it's going to be an exciting journey for old Schmaffo here to go through MoneyBall. Look, maybe some coattails, as they say. I'm always jumping on a coattail. I'm already jumping in your coattail on the big wing over the weekend. Hef, let's just quickly touch on about your achievements for the AFL Live Final on Draftstars. Talk me through what happened on the weekend.
Jake the Snake Belsham. That's what happened for me on Saturday, yes. Smatho. As we know, they launched the qualifiers for the live final, and I was lucky enough to book in a ticket nice and early on Saturday night. Thanks to Snakey, Brodie Grundy, we talked about him on the show, Tommy Rockcliffe, Clayton Oliver, and your sneaky Smatho tip, Shannon Hearn. He was in my winning side as well.
Yes,
so good to book the spot in Melbourne, and I'm looking forward to that.
I'm sure you were singing the Milkshake song when the game was on, and then come Shannon Hearn to finish it off. If we bring up the actual winners of the actual last weekend, there were 6 tickets up for grabs, and I've actually made some inquiry to a few of the guys, including Marley Mate and Body Cam Crush, who've have said hello to me. So I'm looking forward to catching up with the qualifiers throughout the season before the big live final. So if you do manage to snag a ticket, say hello to Smatho 10, and we'll be in touch and make sure that you'll be very excited for the big live final. All right, let's move on. Thumbs up time. Smatho's thumbs up. Let's just whip through this pretty quickly because obviously you can see the results on the DFR website. So Friday night we had a great game where PK came through with the goods over the Sydney and Essendon game with old Dan Rampage shaking the post. Jeez, that was a bit of a mare for the AFL there. For Saturday, the elusive 1,000-point mark was reached by Mark Reynolds, who just pipped our little Hobart's favourite Briz 17. He must have been a little bit shattered on Saturday night. But the one I really want to focus here is James Ball, number one on Sunday. I love a single bullet. If we bring up his team up here, we talk about how Freo was going to be the Ducks nuts here on Sunday, but what happened here, Hef? And James Ball managed to pick this up.
Yeah, a lot of those purple stacks just they went awry, didn't they? But he did have 4 Freo players in there, interestingly. Rory Lobb obviously became a massive part of that game when Nankervis got injured. He was flying as it was anyway. Shea Bolton, 101. I'm pretty sure that would have been one of his key points, Smatho. And Heath Shaw wound the clock back 124 of just pure trash. And that's what we want. That's what we want when we're trying to win these contests. We want the trash. So and our man Cameron Zurhaar and his big box head, he only 57, but that was good enough to get him in as well. So yeah, a few fan favourites in that lineup for James Ball 1.
James Ball 1. As I said, I love a single bullet, and he chucked that into the qualifier as well. And your beauty, nearly over $3,800, a ticket to the grand final. Throw the emoji up. James Ball 1. You get my 2 thumbs up this week. There it is. Now, Hef, I can't go on without saying congratulations for winning a ticket. Please book a twin room for the event and final. And for that, I might even bring these to Melbourne. But they're back. The pom-poms are back. I didn't tell you you're going to have them. Well done. I thought you were going to take around 6 or 7 rounds to get one, but you just went whooshka, and well done, bud. You're the king of DFS in Draftstars. So let's get over to MoneyBall and smash that as well. So let's get on to Friday night footy. We've got West Coast versus Melbourne at Optus Stadium with an 8 o'clock start time. I think it's 8:10 actually on the Eastern Seaboard. West Coast are nice favourites here at 22.5 line here. With the total is a little bit of a low 155.5. I pretty much know the reason why it's 155.5, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. And as we touched on the show, MoneyBall are back. $50,000 available for our DFS players here in Australia. We're going to talk about MoneyBall all night on the show tonight. As a rookie, you got to help me out here, Hef. So including the viewers as well. All right. So there are some viewers who have never seen MoneyBall. There are some viewers who have been MoneyBall for years and years. All right. And welcome to those viewers as well. A little bit crazy, these two guys, but bear with us. All right. So we'd like to refer to the resources on the dailyfantasyrankings.com.au website. Let me set you the scene. Melbourne go back to the place where they got absolutely creamed in the prelim in 2018. But I think that half the team not playing this week because they got so many injuries. Milkshakes, your man Milkshakes is actually out with busted foot. Hibbard's out with a cracked collarbone as well. So it's going to be interesting in terms of the selection table this week. Let me break down the resources that you'll be able to find on the DFR website. So first of all, the Demons are actually 4th in total points against for the season, where West Coast is actually 10th. So they're leaking points, the Demons. Demons are the worst for containing forwards as well. So number 1 in the league. Demons are actually best for rucks. So obviously Max Gawn is doing a number for every ruck that come each game. And then the Demons are starting to slip up the amount of tons that teams are scoring against, which is actually now 4 tons per week, which is good for 3rd highest in the league. So as a bit of a MoneyBall rookie, I've got a question straight off the bat before we talk this game. I'm used to dual position players on DS, but when I click on MoneyBall, I'm finding, where are the DPP players? Tell me what's going on here at MoneyBall.
Yeah, so you're not going to find them there, Smatho. No dual position players at all, which it makes building teams much, much different to Draftstars. One thing I will point out is you have a flex position on MoneyBall. So you have, I think it's 2 forwards, 2 backs, 3 midfielders, and a ruck, and then you get the flex position. So while you don't have the dual position players, you can use that flex position to play any player as your 9th spot. So if you want to stock up on an extra back or an extra forward or another midfielder, you do have the option there with the flex. So that's a major difference to Draftstars, and that's one to get your head around with. And that has a lot of implications when it comes to ownership. And there's a couple of little funky positions in there that you've got to keep an eye on, because we'll see a couple in this Melbourne West Coast game that don't automatically assume that players are in the position that you think they're going to be, because we've got a couple of sneaky ones to keep an eye on. Yeah,
because what would be good for one particular game, probably for one particular slate, it's not going to be great for another one. And we'll talk about this particular game. I've already got some sneaky little takes already. So, as always, let's start with the builds here for Friday night, and we start with the rucks. Max Gorn is 9,700. He's coming up against Alvardi at 4,800. But we made this talk that Hickey and at 6,500 and Bruce at 5,300 might be selected for this particular game. I'm thinking, just to be safe and sorry, I might just click Gorn to start with at 9.7 and move on. What do you think, Hef, of the rucks? Am I right? Just click Gorn and just don't worry about the other three?
Look, I think you can't really go wrong if you're playing Gorn. One thing when we're looking at MoneyBall and we're sort of thinking about prices and what sort of scores we're trying to get, we're looking for a rough guide of 15 times salary. We've worked on that sort of 8 to 10 over in DraftStars. MoneyBall, we want to look at about 15. Obviously, the high price guys, you can get a little bit less than that, and the cheaper guys, you might want to get a little bit more out of them. But you work on that. Max Gorn, 140 is doable. He could probably get in 120s. He'd be fine at his price. It's just so hard for the rucks coming up against Gorn that it's very hard to play someone against him. Now, Vardy's quite cheap at 4.8k. Just another point on Moneyball, they range between 3.5 to sometimes they get up to about 11,000. So Gorn's near the top, but he's not quite as big as what we can see. Vardy's sort of down the bottom there. The only argument on make for Vardy, if he's sole rucking, is there's not a lot of value in this contest, so he can open up some salary for you if you think you can spend it better in other positions. But Gorn's always pretty safe in these type of contests.
Yeah, I think you want Gorn at least 120 plus to be comfortable at his salary. For Vardy, if we can get to 70, 80, I think that's a big win. But I said we've got to look at if Hickey and Bruce play, so it's going to throw a bit of a spanner in between that. Look, little sneaky. Bruce, if he's playing at 7K on DraftStars, is pretty nice salary as well. Defense, let's go for the backs. My man, your man, Shannon Hearn. He's almost my first pick for this particular matchup again because, as I said, the resources said the backs are pretty leaky as well for Melbourne. So lock him in.
Oh yeah, I love Bunger. Just watching him there against the Saints. There was 2 passages of play. He got about 15 points in 30 seconds. He's just like an old style cannon. They just wheel him up behind the ball and just pop the ball in there, and then bang, he shoots it 60 metres down, pinpoint precision. He's just a wonderful player, Hearn. And when they're trying to get him the ball as much as what they do now, the Eagles, 4 tons in his last 5, he's almost getting really safe at that sort of salary.
Now, thanks for congratulating for my sneaky bet last week too. At $2.15, I'll bang a horn over Caleb Daniel. I was at halftime. I had to restrain myself for the tweet, but we got it. He got the job done at halftime. So I still tweeted. I don't care. Yeah. All right. I'm finding Angus Brayshaw and Elliot Yeo in defence here in Moneyball. So yes, Yeo, I can understand he plays that kind of sweeping back role for Yeo, but hey, Angus Brayshaw is there. I'm a bit dirty with him because obviously he just was a bit disinterested last week and just didn't do much while Clayton Oliver did everything else for him. It's a bit hard for this one. Look, Jay Lockhart, who's playing very well for the Demons. He's going to garner some good ownership at a low price. What am I going to be doing here with the rest of the backs?
I'm with you on Brayshaw. I'm really scared for Angus Brayshaw. A couple of videos we did start of the year. I was as high on Brayshaw as anyone. And now he's out of the middle, and the carcass of Nathan Jones is back in there. Like, I just don't know what's going on. He came 3rd in the Brownlow last year, Brayshaw, after he looked like he might never play again after all those head knocks he was getting. So he finally hits his straps, and now he's off a wing. And then I was watching the Gold Coast game, hoping desperately that Snake Melksham could walk and get back out there, but I just noticed every time there was a ball up, Brayshaw would run 10 metres forward of the ball up and be on the forward side of it and not in the middle where we know he can rack up those points. So, yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with Angus Brayshaw until I see him get that roll back that we all love. Talking to Lockhart, he comes up very high on projections and whatever else, coming off 100 and a 92. But let's not forget, 3 games start his career, he averaged 47. Now he's going, this is different than playing Gold Coast when you're going over to Perth to play West Coast, who are starting to sort of hit their straps. I think they're okay against St Kilda. I've been checking the weather forecast constantly, and I've not seen any rain, Smatho.
Ooh.
So I'm quietly confident that we might see another repeat of that prelim last year. I'd love to see it given to the D's again. And like you said, the D's have been hammered with injuries. If West Coast get a hold of them, I don't really want to have Lockhart in my side.
No. I think this is going to be a massive here, F. It's looking dire. You know, even Robbo come out saying if this club wins on Friday night in Perth, it'd be one of the greatest wins of the club's history. And I'm like, well, that's just not great. You're just trying to make sure that everyone watches the TV on Friday night because it's going to be pretty bad. So considering it's going to be pretty bad, in the mids, we want many Eagles we want. And obviously you got your Eagle shirt on tonight there for us. So talk me about your midfield. I click on Redden's name, right? And I see a great score and a low score. A great score and a low score. Am I going to get a great score this week, or I'm going to get just some lethargic Redden score?
Did you work out a pattern, Smatho?
It's a yo-yo. So let's go back up. I want to be up because I want to be playing Redden at his price.
Yeah. I haven't been able to work him out, Redden. He did score 162 in that prelim last year, which that was just enormous. Obviously, they didn't have Gaff in that match. Gaff coming back, there's a little bit less to go around. He's definitely not a cash play, Redden, but like you say, that yo-yo, that high ceiling, he's definitely worth throwing in some tournament lineups. I think Harms probably goes to Shuey, Smatho. He's a very underrated player, Shuey. He doesn't sort of get the kudos he deserves, I think, because he's not that big 110 fantasy guy. But he's quality in everything he does, and I think Harms will go to him again, and he restricted him in the prelim last year and let everyone else get amongst it instead. If he does that, I don't want to have any Shuey. It sort of leaves us with Yo and Gaff both had 140 odd a couple of weeks ago against Gold Coast. They're the obvious ones. You've got to pay for them, but they can go really big, and that's what we need. And then Dom Sheed, who, with everyone in the team, his last couple of weeks have been really good. He had 116 and a 94. He's only 8,000 on Moneyball. Maybe that narrative of Sheed being no good when Gaff is back in the team, maybe that's starting to just die off a bit.
Yeah. Look, as in the NBA, when you have injuries in the side, someone has to come up and take the value that is available, right? We see Clayton Oliver, sticking out like a sore thumb, but I'm very worried this week that if you look at the DFR website and you go to the taggers page, West Coast don't mind a tag. And there's the old Mr. Hutchins can just go straight to old Clayton. Do you think that's a good take, that we might have to avoid Oliver on Friday?
Yeah, I think he's going to go there, but he did go to Jack Viney in the prelim last year, which sort of surprised a few people, but then there was also the take that he just sort of ripped that hard and the rest of them just went nowhere. So there's a chance he'll go to Viney again, but after Oliver's game last week, he'd have to be on the radar, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think you just got to monitor it, see if you can get anything from the coaches, any news about that, but don't be surprised if Oliver, we'll see how he goes with a tag. All right. Let's move on to the forwards. So it's going to be a tough case to make for Melbourne here with pretty clearly their best lead-up forward or half-back forward in Milkshakes busting his foot. So looking at the Moneyball structure here, there's not really a great plethora of players to choose from. So it's probably easy enough just to go Darling and Kennedy and move on. But I had Jamie Cripps last week, which is really nice. And also that gave you a little bit of angst last week. So obviously I'm not really focusing on any Melbourne stuff here. West Coast again for the win.
Yeah, look, there's not a lot of value in this game, but where the value is in the forwards. And it's not necessarily just with Darling and Kennedy. Darling is really well priced, and obviously when he gets going, he can smash that 5,200 salary he's got. Kennedy hasn't gone big all season, but then we've got a lot of these $4,000 to $5,000 guys. In Oscar Allen had 80 last week, especially if they only go with one ruck because he gets that second ruck role. Venables and Waterman are sort of thereabouts. Liam Ryan was really good against St Kilda last week. He got 85 and he's still sort of sub 5,000. And then the big news of the weekend is Willie Rioli, Smatho, grand final hero.
Yeah.
He could be back. And just cast your mind back to the pre-season, I saw a game with Willie Rioli against Freo and he scored about 120 fantasy points, kicked 4 goals, had 20 touches. He just keeps slimming down every time we see him, Willie Rioli. He might just be ready to take this competition by storm. So he's sub 5,000. Geez, I'll be quite happy to get Willie Rioli into my team first up from a break.
No, you can have him. You want to look at him first.
So for the Ds, they do have a guy at 4K, Tim Smith, who I think will come in and replace Milksham. And he's one of those guys that sort of never seems to stay in the team a lot, but when he's in the team, he can score points. So 4K only sort of needs to get you about 60 odd if you're trying to get away from this this West Coast massacre narrative. Maybe you can look at Tim Smith, but I think the cheaper West Coast forwards are where I'm going to be looking for my value in this game.
Sure. You reckon the old 3 forwards using the flex is a viable option for a GPP?
The flex, yeah, no, I think that's probably going to be used a fair bit, I think.
Yeah, on paper, you don't have many options for forward. You might as well just jam another one and just cover them all. See how they go.
Oh, yep.
All right, Hef, let's move on to Saturday. Another big $50,000 MoneyBall contest is available for the Saturday slate. 5 games available throughout the day. Collingwood, St Kilda, Brisbane, Adelaide, which is a nice little matchup, outside the DFS kind of world there. Geelong versus the Bulldogs, Essendon, Freo, and North Melbourne playing Sydney Swans in the beautiful nighttime of Hobart Town. Let's dive into the Saturday slate for us here, Hef. As I said, Brisbane Adelaide will be a nice game to watch. I don't think it'll be a good game for DFS, as Brisbane are pretty stingy, as we all know. But what do you think of your overall kind of first impressions of the Saturday slate, Hef?
Well, if you're excited for Brisbane Adelaide, I don't think that says much for the day.
I'm trying to pump it up, Hef. Come on.
Yeah,
Get excited.
That's the best game. What about North? Are you going to ride your bike along to Bellerive on Saturday night and watch North versus Sydney?
It is just down the road. I don't know. I don't think so. It's too cold. It's play Saturday night footy here.
It's getting very cold. Yeah, no, there's a couple of good games we can attack DFS-wise, and that might keep us watching the TV, where otherwise we might not be. Let's have a look. Why don't we look at the rucks, Smatho? That's where we start.
Yeah, let's have a look at the rucks. All right, let's have a look. And head and shoulders above everyone else here is Brodie Grundy at 10,500. It's going to be a serious amount of money out of your salaries to pick Brodie. Absolutely smashed it last week, as we said on the show last week against Carlton. Carlton, the worst for rucks. Is there anyone else there? Maybe Geelong, if Timmy English plays, if he might be an in this week at 6,600. That's probably the second one I'm looking at, but there's nothing really else here, Hef. What about, find me something.
What about Zach Clark, Smatho?
What about who?
Sorry, I couldn't say
it
that
again.
Straight face. How bad is Zach Clark?
Zach Clark? How much is
that?
Really?
That's been one of my favourite stories of the year, Zach Clark. The Bombers fans are
the man with the wetsuit on his kneecap. Come on, seriously, that's Zach Clark.
It's just not working for him. 5,700. Put a line through Zach Clark. Grundy against Marshall. He's going to just massacre Marshall. He's just too big for him. There's some great stats getting around about Grundy's averages in wins. At the MCG, you'd expect Collingwood to beat St Kilda. So Grundy, I think he's safe to pay up for. Down at the Cattery, my love-hate relationship with Reece Stanley, I'm hoping I'll be loving him after Saturday, because up against Tim, if Tim English doesn't play, then you just pile into Reece Stanley at 7,800, I think. If English does play, you probably still do. He gets his own ball, English, but he's just not big enough to stop the opposition ruckmans at this stage of his career. So he seems pretty well priced if you don't want to pay up for Grundy. I'm happy to work around those two.
Fair enough. All right, defenders. I'm going to give you some names here, Hef, and you're going to give me what's in common for these particular players. Hurley, Lukey Ryan, old Sistog, Salem, Brodie Smith, Zach Williams, and Shannon Hearn. What do they have all in common?
You've won money back in all of them this year.
No, they've all turned up as the key defender. All right. Collingwood have this matchup here with same kind of role, and I'm pretty keen on Jack Crisp at 8,400 in that same role. What do you reckon?
Oh, against St Kilda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, it worked with Shannon. Yeah, they all have gone nuts against St Kilda. Nice. Didn't know where you were going with that, Smatho, but I like it. 4 tons in a row, Jack Crisp, 8,400. Hard to see you go wrong there. Darcy Moore, we've been playing with him as a cheaper option in our backlines, Darcy Moore. So he's 5,100 now on MoneyBall. That's it's starting to get to his sort of limit. Maybe you're better off looking at Jeremy Howe to go with Crisp, 6,300 for him. He can have 100 when he's on. Howe, he's been a bit up and down, but we don't mind those guys in tournaments. I like that angle. Couple of pies backs against the Saints. We know that, or you could even go 3 pies backs. Use the flex.
Yes, use the flex. If Saints are leaking so many points down back, and you just those halfback role guys, yeah, why not? I mean, maybe your salary might dictate that. But if you're looking at a little bit cheaper salary, Smatho has a couple of little players here for you too, as Hef. Down Bomberland, Old Sard and Redmond. What do you reckon of those two?
Yeah,
Cheap.
No, I like Redmond against Sydney. He shows a bit. I think there's one man we're forgetting for our flex position though, Smatho. If you want to play a third backman, and that's Colin.
Colin. Oh, this is not Colin from last week, was it?
It's Colin. How good was it when Colin was zigzagging his way 100 metres up the ground against the Bombers, and then any other ground it probably would have been 200 metres to get him to where he was. 40 metres out from goal from the back pocket, through it went. My house erupted. Well, I erupted.
Is he your new Dennis Armfield? Now we just refer him as his first name.
But I'm a big fan of Colin.
Colin.
3,800 he is on MoneyBall.
Is he 3,800 on MoneyBall? Oh, that could be a good second defender, or even a little flex if he's struggling for cash. I think it's a great fight.
That's one thing Jay mentioned in our podcast with the avocado when they had a chat about MoneyBall, and he said MoneyBall can be a bit slow on these salaries in terms of catching up to players bursting on the scene like Colin O'Riordan. 3,800 is so cheap for a man of Colin's ability, and I expect him to be chalk on Saturday, and I'm going to have a fair bit of him.
Yep, nice to see that you just add 10% to his ownership. Just saying that first name of Colin. Let's move on to midfield on Saturday. As I said, I did a little bit of research in terms of the taggers tool on the DFR website, and I just saw, hey, this could be potentially some more tagging going on the studs here on the Saturday slate. I've got a feeling that Seb Ross is going to cop a tag from Collingwood. I know Greenwood didn't do one last week, but I've just got a little feeling that, you go to Ross just to say, that's it, Saints midfield shut down for the week. And then the Swans and the North Melbourne matchup, there's only one player for the North Melbourne who can go bananas, and that's old Shawnee Higgins. So I'm sure the Swans will pay attention to him as well. What do you think of that little sneaky take?
Yeah, I think Hewitt Higgins, you could pretty much lock that in. Like you say, who else are you going to tag from North Melbourne? I don't know about Ross. So Greenwood hasn't been tagging. They brought in Rupert last week, apparently to do a job on Cripps, which he did well for a quarter, and then Cripps got hold of him. I don't know if they'll keep Rupert in the team with talk of Beams coming back, and I don't really know if they're going to bother tagging Seb Ross. I think Colin will just say, look, we're just too good for you in the midfield. We'll just give it to you. Jake Steele might try and run with someone, but he's one of those taggers that sort of gets a bit carried away getting the ball himself, so he won't do too much damage, I didn't think. Definitely Hewitt on Higgins, though. I think that's a big one to watch out for.
All right, so who's your studs here? I think some Crows, Brisbane possibly. What do you think?
So Dane Zorko, isn't he back?
Oh, he's back. Yeah, but scarily back, because is he consistently back? That's my question.
Yeah, he's still got that bit of half forward time. It's working a lot better for him than it is for Angus Brayshaw. But 230s, the Crows are gettable. You can put up some numbers against the Crows. We saw Rocky get 149. Boki got 117 last week. 8,900 for Zorko. I think he'll be pretty popular for good reason. Tim Kelly, everyone's got him winning the Brownlow. He's just sort of getting all the ball he wants at Geelong at the moment. 8,900 for him also. I think he'll be popular. He's a good play. Zeeble was a bit disappointing against Geelong, but he seems like he's got that midfield role back. 7,300's on the cheaper side for him when we know he can get a ton. Swans don't scare anyone anymore. They're sort of the three main guys I'm looking at a first glance on Saturday.
Yeah, I like his Zeeble take. I think there's some news already from the coaching staff at North that Zeeble will still be running through the midfield just in case he does cop the tag this week. So I like it. 7-3. Excellent. I like it. A quick look at DS of Zorko is still around 13K. Yes or no on Zorko if I'm going to play him on Draftstars?
Oh, yeah, that's a yes from me.
That's a yes from you. Excellent. What about any value from the mids? What about the mids? For a bit of value, obviously, we might want to fill a flex spot with a mid here. Is any value you're looking at?
82 last week for Robbie Fox. You might tell me how old he is, Smatho.
What
I don't
does
know. Yeah. Don't go all Basil Zemplis on it, Smatho. I don't know if Robbie Fox is any good.
How hard is to pronounce FOX?
Yeah.
Fox?
I don't know if he's any good at footy, Robbie Fox. Sometimes I think he is. Other times he's just looks horrendous and he gets a 30. But he's 3,900. Kangas are not really very scary at all. When he's capable of getting an 80 like that, then he's got to be in play at that sort of price. Tarrant Thomas has been really impressive. The Tassie boy player for North Melbourne in his first season. 4,600. He scored 65 plus in his last 3 games. I think he is a decent, cheaper option. But these cheap guys, we tend to get them revealing themselves as the team announcements come out. So stay tuned. You might find a new player coming in, especially if it's one of those mature age guys. They can come in and perform straight away at really low prices. So stay tuned to the team announcements for sure.
Now, there's a little cool feature on the DFR website too, Hef, where if there are any first gamers, you can actually click on them and I'll give you their prices for both MoneyBall and for Draftstars. And hopefully they're the bare minimum, which gives you kind of almost a free square. So, there's a little feature on the DFR website. I only just found out a few weeks ago. So it's pretty good. Check that out. Let's move on to forwards. And look, lock of the week is Josh Dunkley. Lock away the key. He's going gangbusters. The coach has finally done it. It's a standout play. I don't think we need to discuss about his little 8,600 bargain. Just nod your head, Hess, and say, yes, Smatho, that's a great play. Dunkley. Yep,
unless
great.
Bevo trolls us again.
No, well, it's a possibility, but surely not. Surely not. All right, so we've got Dunkley in. Who else can we look at for the forwards?
Do we believe what we saw with Nick Blakey against the Bombers?
Oh God, he's a little skinny like himself, isn't he?
But he's a very clever footballer, Nick Blakey. He's still only 3,700. He looks a really good cheap option. You might get a 30 from him, but maybe that's his breakout game. And Tomahawk at the Cattery against the Dogs, 7,700. I reckon he's got a big ton in him at some stage this year, Tomahawk, and this could be the game. So,
yes,
yeah,
yep. I'm looking forward to talking about Tomahawk next week. All right, let's push on to Sunday slate. Little 3-game slate there. Look, it's another little ho-hum day of footy. Look, the Tigers versus Hawthorn game will probably be a nice game to watch. But look, we've got Carlton against the GWS, which obviously GWS is going to be pretty pissed off and smash Carlton. And then you've got Port versus Gold Coast. So MoneyBall, they still put up a nice big $40,000 contest for the particulate contest. Already cashed up from Friday, Saturday from our little takes here, Hef. Who are we looking at for Sunday? Can we look at, GWS and Port Stacks, or can you find something a little bit different if you want to get them that cash for us?
Well, we've got the 3 easiest teams to score against, one in each game here. So Richmond, Gold Coast and Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Richmond, their last 5 games, they've really started to pull it back a bit. So maybe we, like you say, focus on taking on Gold Coast. We saw Oliver rip them up, so get those big inside mids, Rockcliffe and Boak. GWS against Carlton, they'll be angry, they'll be steaming, they'll be. You probably play anyone you want from GWS. Work around there, and then fill the gaps from Hawthorn, Richmond, and. Hope for the best. Hope it goes better than last Sunday, which was just totally against the script.
Look, before we push on, is there anything that can fill in the gaps in terms of value this far out on Sunday?
There's some cheap port guys. Carl Eamon's still pretty cheap. Willem Drew was a bit of a letdown, but he's still getting that midfield time with no wine, so he's pretty cheap. Sammy Powerpepper's nuts, but he's still pretty cheap. The Lionheart he had a big ton. He's still pretty cheap. So there's a lot of cheap port guys you can target. Everyone sort of seems to have their way with Gold Coast fantasy-wise. So, I think there's enough value there to get you enough to load up.
All right, so make sure you check out the DFR website for all of our slate previews, including Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the DFR website. Big MoneyBall focus this week. Let's move on to the golf major coming up on Thursday night, the PGA Championship at Bethpage in New York, Ireland. We've got the big milli maker here on DraftKings, Draftstars with their $8,000 contest, and MoneyBall's provided a beautiful $9,000 contest as well. Golf locks at 8:45 p.m. on Thursday evening. So if you're watching a bit of NRL, it's around half time. If you've seen the teams for your AFL and that's all sorted for you, your season-long stuff, you can always just jump on and put a few fantasy sides for golf. Make sure you check out my preview on the DFR website. And also chuck the earbuds in. And if you've got some time, I've got an extensive podcast with Australia's one of the best DFS player and also probably one of the best golf DFS players in the world, actually, in JK123. We sat down, had a great chat about golf. Have you actually had a listen to the pod yet?
I'm halfway through, Smatho. I did enjoy your little take, and Jay was on the total opposite side. So there's no holds barred in these golf podcasts between you and Jay. He's not overly keen to just pander to you at all, Smatho. So I've got half of that left to watch tonight. Listen to tonight. Give us a winner, Smatho. Give us a sneaky.
Sneaky. Look, the field is stacked. It's so everyone's here. The best 100 golfers are here, apart from I think Justin Thomas has got a crook wrist. They're all here. I have to look outside the winner. So my little sneaky this week is a little bit build a bet on BetEasy actually. Xander Schauffele and Sergio Garcia, that both make the top 20 at $5 is a very, very good play. Sergio Garcia has brilliant course history. Xander Schauffele is just about the next best thing in PGA Tour golf. He's going to become one of the top 5 in the world. All right, so that's my sneaky bet this week. Hope the avocados put it on the screen there. $5. Good work. All right, big show this evening. Big 40-minute show, which is great. I'm very excited about Moneyball. My journey's going to start. I haven't deposited yet. I'm going to be depositing very, very later this evening and start building these teams for the weekend. Hef, you've already, put your mansion on it already, considering you've already cleaned out DraftStars. So, look, if you're new to the show, thanks for watching this evening. If there's any questions at all, get on our Twitter feed, which is Rankings DFS. If you haven't gone to the DFR website and sign up to be a member, see where you are ranked on the DFR website. And obviously, you'll get a little shout out if you do some very well good things in the DFS community, especially from myself on Twitter. Hef's Twitter handle is on the screen there. If you want to talk about horse racing as well, I'm sure Hef will give you a minute of his time as well. Big show tonight. Thank you for joining tonight, and we'll catch you on the leaderboards here in the DFS community. Looking forward to the weekend. Thanks again, Hef.
Thanks, Smatho. See you next week.
See you next week.